Hopefully we're live right now on LinkedIn and on YouTube, by the way. So hopefully,
YouTubers.
right? We're legit over on YouTube. YouTube's still a sleeper in hospitality, so huge. It's a huge trust signal that we're leaning into. So hope we'll just let a few people pile in here, and let's.
Yes, for this hot topic that everybody wants to know. But unfortunately, it's not one and done. AI continues to change, and so we have to keep up with what is happening and have some discussions around it. I was going to see if I go to my own page if we're live, but oh, there we are.
I see it.
Yay.
All right. Technical. We got over that first hurdle, which is great. So this is our first session, by the way, guys. So super excited to jump in here. Celeste, this is your stage, by the way.
Oh, I haven't met a stage that I don't love, which is funny because I am like most people in hospitality, not you two, but an introvert. But put me in front of a stage, give me a microphone. Hello, I'm Celeste Burke Nicely, one of the co-founders, along with Corey of Sales on Tap. We're joined by two amazing directors. I'll let you guys introduce yourself. Kyoko, if you want to go first.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling in or virtually in from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where we had some snow this morning. Kyoko Cameron, Director of Sales for the Coeur d'Alene Resort. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Celeste and Corey, for having us.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Zodella.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Zodella Ramos, Director of Sales for DoubleTree Denver Cherry Creek. And we actually have really great weather right now, or decent enough weather, all things considered, but also very happy to be here. Thank you, Celeste and Corey, as well.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And I think we've got Silent Susan in the comments section, hopefully. If not, Susan is our other partner. She does a lot of the behind the scenes operationally. So she may be answering questions or chiming in the chat. But Corey, anything else that you want to dive into before we get started?
No, I don't think so. We want to keep you guys engaged. If you have any questions, by the way, we're going to have an open Q&A at the end. So if you want to weigh in, maybe write a few things down. Wait till the end, and then we're gonna weigh in on that. But along the way, when we ask the questions, maybe we'll prompt you to type either 1 or 2 to find out, if you're experiencing the same thing. So a little touch points to engage or stay connected along the way in this discussion. So we want to hear from you. By the way, it's very important that we have the finger on the pulse of what's going on out there, which is the reason why we're hosting these live events. So, which are going to be regularly. So
yes, they'll be monthly. We have a whole community that we've built out. You can join it for free. There's training in there. We'll get into that. But our goal is both of us work and support hospitality. We have 2 people who are actually working in the trenches every day. So we want to get into AI. So I'm asked quite often, Celeste, can you do some AI training? What is AI? I talked with an owner the other day. Is so far behind. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. It is new. Tech seems to be changing every single day. Sadly, hospitality is often lagging behind. So I thought having 2 seasoned directors of sales here so we can talk in the trenches about like what is going on, what are you guys hearing, what are you hearing from prospects, customers, top-down leadership, and how are you dipping your toe in the AI waters? And don't worry, we're going to have some prompts and some goodies for you that stick with us that you can use. And I will tell you that Kyoko has someone on her team who's been at the property for 50 years and is still raising her hand. I know, 50 years, raising her hand saying, tell me more. I didn't know I could do this. So you are never too late. You're never too late to learn new things. So let's dive into our first topic, and I'll start with Kyoko first. And this is all just from your personal experience, a general conversation. Why is AI such a hot button in hotel sales right now? So maybe like what you're seeing that's actually changed. Give us the pulse of why it's so hot. What is the tea that's happening?
Well, I think it all starts first and foremost with everyone's working with less time in the day, it seems like. And I think that using it as a resource for quicker answers and being more efficient, as far as the sales side it goes. I can say, because I'm an active director, so I have my sell too. So I got an RFP this week, for example, and didn't there wasn't a lot of information online when I just Googled it. Usually you can find a website for the event and kind of get a little more information before you start diving into your overview. But this particular group didn't have a website. So I just put in the name of the group into chat and said, tell me about this group. Tell me more about it. It pulled up. And then it went as far as me asking, well, what is their average rate? What have they spent for their room blocks the last couple of years at these destinations that it had uncovered for me. So I was able to, in probably, I would say 5-10 minutes, learn a lot more about the group than I would have even prior to making the phone call and reaching out to the planner. I went into that call with a lot more information than I would have prior to AI. So I think that's one example to use. Another example from coming from a leadership ownership, the internal hotel sales side of things is there's from the top down, there's a lot more pressure to say, well, what reports, you have all the data, like run it through chat, figure, come up with new reports, come up with ways to grow whatever industry you're seeing the most of the last few years. So I think there's that side of it as well. That's a lot more time efficient, and I wouldn't say easier, but it can put it automatically in a spreadsheet for you. Whereas before it took a lot more legwork to create these lists and really come up with a plan where it can kind of develop a plan for you as long as you have the statistics to plug in,
Yeah. And I loved how you said about something Corey will talk about it, and then I'll kick it over to Zadella. But I just want to weigh in the insights that you can get from quickly asking. Like Kayoko said, she got an RFP and there was no information. Well, welcome to hospitality. That's like a blank RFP. It's common. Now we can dive in. You don't even need Noland. You can dive in and get deep research on public information, on information that has been shared by attendees. It does all that deep research for you, and how much better you're equipped and feel like you're able to lead with credibility for that planner when you've already done some of that research. You don't have to ask them those basic questions. So I love that example that you just shared about that deep research that AI was able to help you with that RFP. Zadella, what have you seen change? You've been a director of sales 7, 8-ish, maybe more. Let's not date ourselves years. What have you seen change in the shift of
AI?
I remember it back in the day when people were like, social media, it's just a fad in hospitality. Like, it's just a fad. AI, fad or here to stay?
I definitely think that AI is here to stay. I think that's what has changed, is the realization that we are in a process of change, for the societal change, really, like overall. And AI in general was really scary in the beginning, like Rosie from the Jetsons. What are we expecting? Or like iRobot walking around. And so because it was really unfamiliar, it was kind of like, well, that may not be for me. And then just here recently, the familiarity with what AI is, what the capabilities are, and how you can use it has changed practically in your home and in your business for our groups, for businesses out there. And so then also for us, and we have this very wide range of talent within the industry right now, where some folks are really used to selling the way they've kind of always sold. And we've maybe got some more technically curious talent out there that's kind of willing to dive in and see what options there are. And then when it comes to AI, the subject matter in general is just so big. It's still happening. I mean, we had a toddler, now maybe we have like an AI teenager, and it's learning just as quickly as we are. So just for me, the change is the familiarity and understanding what it is and what it could be and how we're going to use it every day. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's still a lot of fear around how do we use this? What does this mean specifically for hospitality sales?
I definitely think there's a lot of fear. I definitely think we're expecting the brand and our leadership to give us guidance in these spaces. And I think a lot of that's important because um, we want to use AI, but we are also fearful that we're putting out information that we maybe don't understand where it's going and how it's developing, because truly AI is developing in a way that is kind of beyond a lot of what we understand. So I think there's fear in your messaging and also in losing some of the genuineness of your representation, because you're scrolling and it's like, aha, that's AI, that's not a real post. And if you're sending that out to your clients, you could lose some of the respect or some of the connection that you had with them, where they feel like, wow, you don't have the time to really kind of get me this information or take that time for me. So I think there's a real balance between using it to help speed along your process and to be more efficient without taking away what sales is. And that's that kind of one-on-one perspective and interaction with people that are coming there to do something really important at your hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think just remaining authentic and really knowing, the culture of where you come from and what that message is, and even if you're just getting kind of an idea in AI, you can usually draft it so that it's a little more personalized, like Sadell is saying, with that one-on-one personalization, because that's something that AI can't do for you. And I think just keeping that transparent and consistent in everything you're doing, whether it's email or posting, is important. But I also think that there's a lot of curiosity as to what we should be using it for, and until, like Zadel was saying, leadership, or until the company is able to provide some direction. I think that curiosity, I think there is a little bit of hesitation as to what we should be doing with it and what's expected of us to, what we're going to use it for. So,
right. And I've seen a couple of management companies. This is why you're seeing a strict use case policy on specific, whether it's Claude, Copilot, because then it's in a secure environment. So I do think we'll continue to see some gates being put up. Obviously, if it's SOC 2 compliant, like things on the back end that ensure compliance, because we work in an industry where we live and die by the STAR report. The P&L is the holy grail. Like there's a lot of financial information that has to be kept confidential. We don't want that leaking out. And before that could be done by email. And now we can make the mistake of loading up some information and who knows where it could go. So I do think more and more people are putting those safeguards in place. But as it relates to how a seller can use AI to help them in their job, I still think there's a lot of gray areas, because to Zadella's point, we're all learning this together. It's not like someone is so far out in front of you that they have paved the way on what great looks like for AI usage. No, they're tinkering in it as well. So I think there's some misunderstanding. But before we get into that second part, Corey, anything as it relates?
Yeah, no. And I wanted to also ask the audience, by the way. So I'm curious, others out there that are watching this right now, are you being asked to maybe find out more about how AI can help you in sales? If it is, can you type a 1 in there? We're trying to get a little bit of a gauge on if that is also, if you're hearing that on your side. So yeah, I think we're early on in this. There's so many use cases. I'm just blown away every day when I'm just the practicality of it all. When you start looking for insurance, you start looking at stocks and it can build charts for you. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So one of the most incredibly impactful moments is when I learned it would return responses and recommendations based on what it learned about my prompts and what I was asking. That's next level. So now if you can match my personal preferences with the venue or a property, it's literally taking my vibe And it's making my vibe a part of that sales process when I'm asking it. Say I wanted to have a sales conference back east for Lure Agency. We want to have LureCon 26. It's going to come back with recommendations and shortlisting based on what it knows about me. It knows that I like weird, quirky stuff. It's going to match my personality with a particular style at a hotel. That simple concept right there, I think, has so much layers to it. And I think the more that we understand that, that really is underscoring the importance of what a strong brand is. So you on the independent side have a huge advantage because you guys can establish a clear, unique, differentiating brand that is not going to be all things to all people, but it's going to be the right match to the right type of group or right type of guest at your property. So we're looking at a transformative shift right here.
Well, and we're seeing that shift. We'll talk a little bit about like buyers and sellers, because then there's transient, and then there's what you guys focus on, which is a lot of group business and filling the hotel and building up that base business. But we're starting to see that I can go to an AI agent, a tool, and ask it to do tasks for me or narrow down a short list, book my favorite hotel, find me hotels in other cities that are just like this. And it learns my history, and it knows, and those direct bookings, like who knows what's going to happen with the OTAs. Is an AI agent now going to be taking on commission? Like all of that is unknown. But from a side that matters to you all, something I want to ask is, and we'll get into this, like, do you feel from a buyer standpoint, your customers, do you feel like they're talking about they found you through using AI, they shortlisted you, they are using a GPT versus Google, and you came up in the search? Like, what are you hearing from a planner's side or a company side as it comes to their usage of AI for meetings and events?
Sorry.
Go ahead,
I feel like we're getting kind of fact checked a little bit like rate checked from some of our planners on what we're offering, because they can really quickly kind of cross reference what we've put out there to them and whether or not that's a really good deal. And I think that our revenue teams are working really hard to stay ahead of those spaces and support for us. But that's the most feedback that I've gotten back so far. And it's really empowered the social planners or new planners to have information that they didn't before, they didn't feel confident with, to come back and say, hey, I was looking at my proposal, and these are the elements that I feel like we could do a little better on.
Okay, so they're maybe using, and Corey will get into that, and I'm writing a series that launches tomorrow, kind of about like, how do we answer the public? How do we get seen? How do we show up? Because the statistics are out there. Novice planners, seasoned planners are going to an AI agent and asking them to shortlist things. And many hotels are not even showing up on that shortlist because of things that they're missing, which we can get into in a whole separate. But I'm curious, Kyoko, anything that you're hearing from your planners as far as AI, how they found you, their own buying process, if that's changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely have heard, like what Zodella just shared, as far as getting an overview of, the rate or activities or amenities for us is a huge selling factor. So I think that what a lot of, and I have a lot of groups that repeat, that come every other year, every year. So when they're doing their search now, they're using AI to say, give me the top 3 locations in this geographic area. So like you were saying, Celeste, if we're not on the backside, and I don't even know how that works. I mean, that's a whole nother...
don't you worry. We got stuff. We got stuff for you in future rollouts, but you absolutely can influence what shows up. And you specifically, because you're on the independent side, have way more control of that.
So I think the more we learn those types of tools, I think it'll just be an advantage, because I know that we aren't showing up as much as, say the Broadmoor or some of our
Yes.
some of the other properties that are in the same comp set that we've competed against or been in when an RFP submitted. We're usually in that same category, So I think just figuring that side of it out will help us tremendously.
Okay.
But,
well, we have some, that's Corey's specialty. My, which I'll send you directly tomorrow, post talks about step 1, because we got to answer the public in order to be able to show up. I did this last week with the Hyatt Regency in Denver, and they did not show up on my query, so to speak, as I pretended to be a meeting planner. So there's major issues around that. What's happening before you even get an RFP? Are you making the short list? So we can dive into that. But I want to move on to something that is kind of I would say maybe busting a myth. And I'm just going to straight out ask you both. We'll start with Zadella.
Okay.
In your opinion, again, these are just opinions, do you believe can AI replace hotel sellers?
I just believe in people. I don't think it's possible. Because I think you just really depend on that one-on-one interaction. I mean, maybe to some extent, because we're getting the quick bookings, we're getting the 10-person meetings, and some of those people could walk in and go to the boardroom and they'll be just fine. And so in that aspect, perhaps. But I think that bigger conferences and some of the social events and the overall relationships that you have with your larger business travel accounts, I would say that I don't think that it's going to be replaced. I think we need someone as a contact.
Humans, as my daughter
Yeah.
calls people.
Humans.
So she calls adults. Like, what are those humans doing? So what I hear you saying is, and I think you said this previously, is AI is going to help us with speed, efficiency. It's going to help us differentiate our property, ourselves, and our own brand by what people are finding online, whether it's true or not. They take it as Bible if they see it online. But that's going to help the humans, the people, layer on top of using their sales skills, closing, negotiation, really working on those kind of enterprise conferences, multi-year things that really do take that human approach. So I hear you saying not replaced, may look a little different. What about you, Kayoko?
I think it will help support us on the sales side. I think that having that personal touch, AI doesn't have the 50 years that Kathy has here at Coeur d'Alene. There's no way that any computer could know all the things she knows about the resort. So that's just one example. But I went to a conference a few months ago, and one of the keynotes, it was on AI. One of the closing session was on AI, and one of the gentlemen on the panel brought up a good point. He said, we have AI can help us with forecasting the future based on what we provide factuals from our past, from whatever past information we have. They can generate what they think is going to happen in the future, but that's no guarantee. So, if say AI crashes or say there's something, we have a huge outage or whatever happens, where if we went off of the information that AI is forecasting for us for the future, then we're losing that human touch, and we're setting ourselves up for a potential huge failure if we're putting all of our eggs in the AI basket. So he just kind of went into that and said, AI cannot predict the future. It can give you what they think it's going to look like, but you shouldn't build your business plan off of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just kind of.
So useful as a tool. I'll let Corey weigh in, and then I'm happy to round out with my predictions on where we may go. Corey, AI replacing hotel sales, yay or nay? What are your thoughts there?
Not replacing, but I would think actually I'm very optimistic about this, because even the sales teams that I'm working with right now, they've been a little bit disenchanted by how transactional the business has gotten. You've got third party distribution channels, RFPs, salespeople, rarely there is anyone talking to anybody anymore. It's gotten really a transactional landscape. And I think AI is going to help bridge that gap, maybe take some of the busyness out of it so that you guys do have the ability to spend that more one-on-one time with prospects, guests. And so I feel very optimistic about it. I'm actually really excited. So I'm hearing that a lot in the industry. So more to come on that. But yeah, I'm feeling
Same.
positive.
So I'm also optimistic because being a seller on property and then also above property, seeing how much time is spent on administrative tasks. So most of the sellers that are out there today in hospitality spend an exorbitant amount of time on administrative tasks, filling out RFP, as Kyoko said, like hunting down information from an RFP that's not filled out. Oh my gosh, blueprinting, Zadella, like the local area to build out a little map, the university, trying to figure out all this stuff. It prevented us from spending time in the trenches, actually talking with people. And what I see the shift happening, and I don't know when, but I do know one management company that has already started to make the shift, is removing, like getting the RFPs so it's like 90% of the way done with AI. So a seller is not spending their time on that. They're just putting it over the edge, and even having like some automations or tasks. This is what you need to do. This is who you need to reach out to. Don't spend time on this RFP because historically it only closes at 1%. Like that is not a good place to spend your time. So I see it more of being able to help really cultivate how your team's spending the time on high value accounts, getting the RFP, that administrative task, like almost all the way there. And then I do see us getting to a place where there's RFP responders and people who are like managing that, almost like a account manager, a workflow. And then there are people who are truly hunters, and they are spending 100% of their time prospecting in the trenches. And AI can help that with that. We have some prompts that we can give you. One of the things I do in training is help teams come up with $100,000. How am I building a plan and a strategy to go find $100,000 in new business? I set the stage that they've just lost this business. I mean, for Kyoko, it may be, $300,000. It depends on your brand. If you're a Fairfield and $100,000 business, like that major year, I talked to a Weston, they're like, we do that in a day. So it depends. Go find new business. We're not looking at our CRM. We're not calling on all the turn downs, all of that. Break away from that. And you can do it in AI. Like, it's so easy. A plan, 200 accounts. What are all the names? What's the contact information? So I do see it shifting to where sellers are going to be asked to create their own pipeline, and some fun around that because AI allows you to get that information very quickly. How does that resonate with you guys? You think we're moving back to like old, like it's kind of like the old school way of doing things, just we have more information now?
Yeah.
By the way, I see this trend also, even with our hotels, we're seeing a lot more direct business that convert much higher than RFP third-party distribution. So that is also, so imagine cutting down on the busy work, not just from AI, but able to generate more direct business is probably exciting for everybody, including ownership that's not paying commission on direct business.
Yes.
In fact, that's one of the byproducts about AI. If you look at when we did early research on that, one of the outcomes was to eliminate intermediaries. And we all know what intermediaries are, right? So that's an exciting development that every hotel should really lean into, which actually we're going to share a little bit about that as well. So
so I think we should do a poll for those in the comments section. I just checked in. It's still going live on LinkedIn. Get them engaged.
Yeah, do it.
Corey, you're good with the polls. What do we want to ask?
Let's ask, how about how is AI, or are you curious about AI is helping in sales? There are still some holdouts right now, right? So there's some OGs still out there. I know there's been some sensitivity about we can only use certain LLMs because of security and they have to use Copilot. But I'm curious of the people that are out there. If type 2, if the notion of leveraging AI in sales is exciting, or is it daunting? So let's
Exciting
see.
or daunting. And I think a lot of us, like anytime that there is an event or a conference, is like all the topics are around AI, right? It's unknown now. Our goal is try to help you prevent getting to this place where all of a sudden you're asked to use AI or it becomes a critical skill that you need to learn. We're going to help you with that as part of like Sales on Tap and these. So we'll get to specific things like takeaways, how you guys are using AI, like one tactical thing. We'll share that in a second. But my third question is, if you're a hotel seller and you want to win more business, how would you recommend that they use AI? We'll start with Kyoko first.
I would say, for me, like if it were, I'm just going to answer like what I would do. What would Kyoko do? I would start with picking my top 5 accounts. I would put them one by one individually into AI, into chat, and say, give me 5 more corporate companies in XYZ states that are in the same with. And then next, they pull them up. I'd say, who plans events for there? What type of events do these companies have annually? Do they have summits? What does their event calendar look like? From there, I would ask, where have these events been held? What time of year are, it's really just the probing questions that we've done throughout the last however many years you've been in the hotel sales side of things, so it's just a matter of you can obtain the information a lot quicker. You can filter it a lot quicker based on how specific your questions are that you come up with. And maybe it's a matter of sitting down in a room with your sales team.
I'm on the phone right now, okay?
With your sales team and saying, okay, what questions do you think we should ask? Like, collaborate together and come up with a list that everyone can use and as a tool, and so I think that would be a starting point, just a very surface level starting point.
Okay. So what I heard you say, I think initially to build on that is you're using it for deep RFP research. So you understand the world of the potential prospect, where they've been. You can dive into further research if you need to know more about that. It helps you bring that credibility forward to a planner if you're getting an RFP. When you're looking to drive your own direct business, and I love this because I know when we did this exercise last year, Kathy was so excited that she didn't even realize there were other accounts out there that matched accounts you had. Mm-hmm. And it is fun. It's exciting. Almost like I'm a detective using AI. And so that you're then taking, and this is something that I do in class as well, your top account. So this is an amazing account for us because of these reasons. So you are prompting it to go find you other accounts that have a similar profile to that. So then you can take action to prospect, build a plan to get into those companies. Is that what I'm hearing that you'd suggest to somebody else?
Yes.
Exactly. Awesome. I love it. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 stars. It's a great use case for AI, especially when you don't know where to start. You just start with the known. I have this top account. Help me find a few others like that. Mm-hmm. I'll kick it over to Zadella.
No, I absolutely love that as well. Kind of taking your strategy and letting it kind of enhance the direction that you're going to go with that 100%. If I'm getting ready to target catering, then I'm going to go in and ask like what year over year fundraisers are happening in my area and allow it to kind of pull that information back to me. And it is so exciting because it is really, in fact, accurate and it gives you really great information, but you still have to kind of take those components and then determine how much of this is relevant for me, for my property, and then use that to kind of keep refining. And it's so beautiful because it works with you. It'll ask you, did you mean this? Do you have questions about this? And so you just keep following those spaces to really kind of help you be more effective and more efficient. I've definitely heard about the blitz mapping, and I like that, but I would still add that be very specific about the questions you're asking, because it's one thing to get a blitz map. It's another thing to ask AI and which of these buildings have occupancy levels. Like if I'm going to spend time going out there, do I want to go to the one that's currently, occupied at 80% or 18? So I think that also just makes sure that you're using really good use of your time when you're using AI. So we're using it in that way. And I do like the idea of creating templates and things like that, but I think that's really just for like your response spaces and things that you say often. But I love that administrative component, Celeste, that you were talking about, and kind of allowing that to pre-structure everything for you so that you can spend more time out there in front of people. And I got to tell you, I have a brand new sales manager, and I think once you are saying to your brand new sales managers, we got to go out on sales calls, some of that's a little fearful for them. And the first time they get in there and someone's friendly, then they can really feel supported by that effort. And so when you're using AI to help and you're going into an 80% occupancy building, and then they're getting that confirmation, they're using AI and they're calling on an account that actually does have training in the area, it really helps to build that confidence within your team as well, to continue to feel driven to find the business.
So I'm gonna throw a zinger, and it's not out there. I'm going off script. Just curious. When I did this poll, when I talked to teams, there is a huge emphasis on we need to prospect. We need our team to prospect. They need to hit this many sales KPIs or activity goals per week. No one is gold against their prospecting efforts. So let's say I am supposed to book $50,000 this month, and I have to go find it. It doesn't come in through RFPs. Why is there a disconnect? Why does everybody want so much prospecting? We want who we're going to prospect, who we're going to call on, but we haven't yet gold salespeople on the business that they're actually generating themselves. Like that's not part of an incentive plan yet. Because I often hear that, like, oh, I didn't get to prospecting this week. Oh, I only did 25 activities. Like, what outcome did that drive? And maybe you guys don't have an answer to weigh in on it yet, but I'm very curious. I've only heard of one company who is looking at taking 25% of their incentive plan. And if you don't meet your outbound, like self-generated goal of going out and finding new business, you don't get a chunk of your incentive.
I worked for a management company that you got like a gift card for your activity product. Yeah, you would, if you reached a certain number percentage, 100, you got this amount, 105. And so I got to tell you, I was way more driven to get all my activities in. I'm not saying that it's not important, and I absolutely ask my team to do it now, but the reality is that sales teams really love incentive, and they like getting something. And it was small, but we certainly worked hard towards it. So I've seen it, but I will say that I feel like not recently. So it's a good point, Celeste. Very good one.
It could be coming. I'm looking at this crystal ball. It's just so interesting to me because I constantly hear it. Like, we want our team to prospect. We want them to do this. We want to learn how to do this. We want more tools for prospecting. How do we get the prospecting? Like, but it's not incentivized. So most sellers who, to Zadella's point, are very skeptical and scared. It feels scary when you don't accept that you're going to get rejected most of the time, and nobody's going to, like, that's just part of sales. They don't feel comfortable doing it. So that's usually what goes by the wayside. But I'm just curious if like where people stand on that. I know it's a little off, but as we're asking people to dive in and use AI to help with prospecting, are we holding them accountable to a self-generated goal from their prospecting efforts?
I think we just recently started having those discussions.
Ooh.
And
okay.
I think are leaning a little more towards versus a prospecting call goal. Maybe doing something that's more new account generated, new
business,
and
totally.
And taking that route a little bit more than.
Well, you're hearing it here first, everybody. More to come, because this is going to be a big topic as we move into 2027 and 2028. Like, mark my words, with AI, RFP responders, I do think as if there's any sales leadership who is watching, like if you're not talking about it now, you may be talking about it. We've actually talked with 2 companies that wanted us to help them fill a business development role in hospitality on their team, 100% outbound. They do nothing with site tours, meetings. They are 100% looking for new business. So I do think we're at this precipice that things are going to change. It's fun and exciting. There's a lot of tools out there, and I know we're coming up on time here. So I will say, your like biggest takeaway from the 2 of you, and then we'll go to Corey, and then some tactical things you can do when it comes to AI, the hype, the fear, what's working. What would be like your mic drop moment for anybody that's listening? Zodella.
I think that AI is the money penny to your James Bond. Like you are 007, wrong person. You are still out there. You're the person, you're doing the work, but you've got something right behind you supporting your efforts, helping with information, helping with direction. So don't underestimate your own capabilities and your power, but definitely reference back and know that that space exists that can be really supportive and helpful in your efforts.
Love it. Thank you. Kayoko.
Yeah, I agree with Zodella. I think just using it to enhance your own personal brand when you're selling, and really helping you define what type of market you want to have, who you're going to target, and narrowing that down, and as just building a presence online, so that you're showing up in these searches, and just continuing to really, really get the name out there, because I think that's the only way that we're going to pop up in these AI searches with short lists, and especially like Corey was saying, with the independent properties, the smaller, not that we're super small, we're adding another 139.
I know, you're adding a whole other wing of the business.
Yeah. So with that coming on, I think it's even more important to make sure that we're being included and folding into those searches. And
yes, and I love that. And I think, a takeaway, and I'll turn it over to Corey, is be okay to be a student. We're on this journey where things are changing rapidly, and be okay to ask questions. I think all of us are like happy that AI is there, that we can ask the dumb question to. Like, let me ask this question. I don't know this, but it can be an amazing tool to help you grow your book of business, right? Who we're going to call on to really overturn or uncover those rocks. We don't know what we don't know, and relying just on Nolan that tells us like the known. We want to look at the unknowns, and AI can help us do that. And we're here along that journey. We have some tools and resources that I'll turn over to Corey, but this is just the starting point of this journey. And I think it's okay to say, I'm here for it. Yes, things may change. It's exciting. But one thing that we will tell you, and it's kind of like the mic drop moment that Kayoko had, is she talked about building your own brand. Both of these individuals have an online presence. When you go to their LinkedIn, they have a banner, they have a headline. It shows up in a search. And so when someone looks at both of them, it shows that they're credible. And we want to ensure that you have that starting point as well, because all of this really comes down to your own personal credibility and your own brand that you've built. And we want to help you with some things for that. But I will turn it over to Corey. What are some of the takeaways as we look to wrap? I'm out of breath. I also have such a runny nose all the time. So I'm always on like a live or on video, and I'm like,
well, and then you're gonna wrap this up with some thoughts at the end, right? So I don't. Okay.
Well, I'm saying, like, what are you have some tactical takeaways, so take it away with those.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk about getting shortlisted. How about that, guys?
Yeah.
All right.
I like it.
Finally, we're going to find the merging of marketing with sales. Right now, every hotel needs to find a kick-ass marketer. Make them your BFF today, because they will make your job in sales so much easier. AI is built on the concept of EAT. Trust signals built not by bricks and mortar, but by humans. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Those are the strongest signals that tells AI this venue's worthy, and it's built by the people. And if you look at most hotel websites these days, in fact, I went across a brand website, won't mention the brand. I didn't see one person on the website, not one, not a salesperson, not a staff member, no people. That is not what AI is telling us it wants. So I'm just gonna the why is because AI is the gatekeeper right now, and we're going to lean more into that, and we need to feed it the signals so that we do show up on these short lists. It reduces risk from the planner. They want to know if this venue can be trusted. Have they done it before? And the sales cycle is now starting way before the inquiry or the RFP drops. You guys just explained you were doing some discovery before that. So it is changing right now. So I'm just going to share 4 basic steps right now to help drive more direct business and get shortlisted in the easiest way. There's more to this, but it's very rare to see any case studies on the meetings and events side. So what kind of the event, what was it for? What was the challenge? What kind of outcomes did that happen after that event took place? Was it a sales kickoff call? How successful was the kickoff call? Is there any video testimonials to go along with that? If you look on most hotel websites right now, there's few and far between testimonials, let alone video testimonials. So that's
like, I gotta get out my notebook.
we'll go ahead and share all this with you. No worries.
And you have a grader that people can access too for their own hotel website. Like,
absolutely.
Yes.
Visibility grader on our website that makes this really easy, actually. Structured data. So AI knows what to look like in terms of, those nice sales kits that you have, floor plans in the PDFs and the menus. That all needs to be brought online. So AI can source it or it can connect with it. Capability charts, FAQs, awards. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is getting your sales team visible online, making them experts, detailed bios, LinkedIn thought leadership, which Celeste talks about a lot. Are you speaking at an industry event? Short videos. We stumbled across really Nick that we found on LinkedIn.
This guy randomly the other day, I was like, well, who did this guy come from? He's making videos.
Funny, it's engaging.
Hyatt, Orlando, awesome.
It was awesome. People are building trust, not bricks and mortar. That's the huge change right now. AI is literally telling us as humans, be more human, build trust signals, and that's not bricks and mortar. It's us. That's exciting. Last step, 4. Embed trust signals everywhere. Testimonials, certifications, awards, data-backed claims. Again, getting back to those case studies that I'd mentioned before. So in an AI-driven world, it's credibility that's going to shortlist your property, and it's really going to determine who gets shortlisted and who becomes invisible. Mm-hmm. So, and that's an ongoing process, by the way, and that's why this is a shout out to independents. Independents have an opportunity to continually create this content that AI loves, and it needs to be fed on a consistent, fresh basis. Brands, it's a set it and forget it. You can't necessarily make easy changes to the website. Independents have a huge advantage right now to really solidify this brand and these signals that's going to make your properties shortlisted easier. So,
all right.
Back to you, Celeste.
Thanks, Corey. So if you're watching and as we wrap up and this feels completely overwhelming to you, not a problem. I will drop, and I know we've gotten a couple comments. I'll go back later today and answer some of those, but a couple things you can do. If you don't work in an independent hotel, which is Corey's bread and butter of things, like you two probably should connect Kyoko, because he can help you with signals and who's looking around and what your team can do from that. you can start by building your brand. I'm putting out a series. It launches tomorrow. Every week, it gives one tactical thing that you can do to start building your brand. The first one tomorrow is going to be gathering all of the questions that people are asking in your specific industry or niche. We want to gather all that up because the next week, we're going to start to answer those. That is how you answer the public. That is how AI picks it up. So we understand that you don't eat an elephant by the whole thing. It's tiny little bites. We have a free community where you can go through and watch videos that are going to help you build your brand on LinkedIn. What do you mean buyers have changed? What if I'm an introvert and I don't want to sell? They're free videos that are available to you if you want that. But we will be back here next month with some more experts. I will leave you with my takeaway. If you are being asked to fill a need date, most of us have a need date calendar, right? Incentives, promos. We have built a prompt that you can drop into a GPT, an AI agent, to help you build out a list of industries and companies that you can then build a plan around to help fill those need dates. So if you want it, it is our gift to you. I keep putting it out there on LinkedIn and only one person has asked me for it. I'm like, we wrote it for you guys. Don't make the need dates harder. You can ask an agent to build you a list to go after, to fill a need date, so that when you're asked from above, what are we doing to fill these need dates? You're like, aha, here's our strategy that we are working over the next 90 days. So if you want the need date prompt, just drop the word need. I will shoot it. I'll shoot it. I'll make sure you guys get it. We'd love for people to test it out. We have more prompts coming. But any final takeaways here?
Oh, we do have actually a comment and a question. I think you'll find very and we did ask for everybody to wait till the end. And
I'm sorry.
No, but I'm going to show this one. I think you'll actually enjoy this one.
I know. Yes. So I remember being on property and being like, all right, we have power hour, and all my team's like, oh, none of us want to make calls, right? I get it. Because often when we're doing the effort and it doesn't lead to anything, everybody's demotivated. 100%. It's like going fishing in a pond that's never stocked. Like after a while, you're like, I'm not going to catch anything. So yes, you can absolutely BS those activities. Really, it's we look to leadership. Like, why are we doing activities if they're leading to nothing? So we hope that through this that prospecting becomes fun. We're actually using signals. I did this for a prospect of mine the other day. They're like, we have all these need dates in Scottsdale. And I was like, let's dive into LinkedIn. Do you know how many people are talking about resorts? This probably would be good for you, Kyoko. Resorts in Scottsdale. All the attendees of functions are like, I'm at the Fairmont. I'm at the Four Seasons. We're at this fancy resort. We're at this golf resort. People are posting because everybody's like, look at me. That is great signals for all of you sellers. And that's just by a keyword search on LinkedIn. That is fun for me to go after versus being like, I guess I have to call 10 people. So yes, you can BS those activities. I would assume eventually those activities you're going to be asked to show some type of output or outcome from those here shortly.
Maybe we can like revisit what an activity is, because we were told for a long time what activities are not. And maybe as leaders, we can focus a little bit more on what an activity is, because we want that interaction with somebody, but it's changed now and we can get those interactions in different ways now. So as sales leaders, we could really kind of work with our teams to say, what is an activity and how are you getting a good response? Let's revisit those spaces so they're encouraged not to like BS it because they feel good about what they're putting out there.
That specific question came up when we were talking as well. And I think that's why we kind of shifted to the new account generation mode instead, because those are a little more tangible and you can really be a little more specific and intentional with a new account than just slumming out 80 calls in 1 week. So I think that's why we were like, well, this might be a different. Everyone has had prospecting goals. We've had them in the past. So it's just trying to maybe find something new and different that is a little more exciting and requires a little more investment and time. And yeah, it might not be a weekly,
Yeah.
but it might be a every 3 months check in on this account and what you've gotten from it. But yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I think one of the series, obviously we won't do it publicly, but will be to have a roundtable, not recorded, of sales leadership, just so you can all be in the trenches to be talking about like, hey, what is the definition? What's working? My team does the prospecting, but it doesn't lead to anything. Our response rate on RFPs is this. We've seen one property where they've kind of gatekept the RFPs away from the sales team. And they're just hand selecting which ones they want to give them. So I think it's the gamut out there, but getting people together where they're able to talk about this is great. I don't know if it's Maya, I think. Do we add their website to match it? Yes. So I think she's talking about if you have a top account or 3 top accounts, as Kayoko was saying, this is an exercise that we typically do in class is we don't want to be single threaded in an account. Oh, we have one contact and now that contact leaves. So we want to have multiple contacts within an account, but then how do we use AI to find more accounts that are just like that one? So absolutely, the more information you can feed the AI, if you have a website, sometimes they're linking to an event they have or a conference or their board of directors, play around with it. You never know. I sometimes simple is great in AI, and sometimes you got to get nobody wants to see my like, no, that is not what I said.
Good stuff. I think that's the last question we had on that.
All right, well, more to come. We'd love to hear, like, what are your burning questions? What do you want to hear more of? We're here to support you in the trenches. One thing that we have built is you don't have to wait for training. We have ongoing training kicks off in April that's weekly in our through our Sales on Tap, but we'll have these monthly programs. So if you have a burning question or, hey, we want to know more about this, let us know. We will create some content around it. We do know we have somebody on tap who's going to be on tap in the wings that's going to be talking about content, how to create fun, engaging content through videos. So hopefully we can get him in.
And he's crushing it, by the way.
His videos are hilarious.
I'm super jealous.
What's his name?
Nick.
He just dropped a Valentine's video that was hysterical, and people just absolutely loved it.
Nick Marinkovich, Marinkovich. Yeah, his Valentine's one is hilarious. He has another one where he's Zadella. You'll probably like that. He's prospecting, but he has like a crystal ball lady in there, looking at her crystal ball, and the GM comes in. So it's really funny. And again, it's all about building a personal brand. It's about building awareness, credibility. People buy from people that they trust and that they see out there. And so he's a great example of someone who's doing that. And it's a little unknown for a lot of us. So we will make sure we highlight him. But appreciate everybody who's tuned in. Would love to know if this is helpful. If you want the need date calendar, drop it. I'll send it to you too. And then we have some more coming out about little things you can do each week to start answering the public. Ensuring that you have those EAT signals so that you do show up in more searches before the RFP even hits, so you can make the short list.
Absolutely.
Thanks all. Appreciate it. Thanks for
including us. This was fun. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Have
Bye.
a good day.